Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the Vortex and landed at episode number 238, where two's company and three's a podcast. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
I'm Stacy.
Hi, Stacy.
Hi, Stacy.
How are
Welcome
you?
to the show.
Thanks. Somebody shared their Coke with me and it said Stacy, so apparently I'm Stacy now. So
How are you guys?
Well, Glenn has no energy.
nope.
Apparently, I'm too scattershot for radio.
Scattershot.
Scattershot.
I've never heard of that.
You've never heard of that?
No.
I don't know the definition.
Well, I can figure it out from context.
Good, because I don't know the definition.
Kind of like buckshot, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Oh.
Scatter.
Is that a
Same
word?
Same idea. Buckshot. You know, like a shotgun.
Okay, I think I understand where it's derived from.
I think that's where, yeah. That's
But that's not like, you don't use, I'm buckshot tonight, right?
No.
Oh, okay,
No.
okay. You were just,
that's what I imagined.
from
when it
the
says
from the
scattershot.
word origin, I suppose. Yeah, but I would presume scattershot's really something you say when you're scattershot. Whatever the
Whatever
definition
scattershot
of it
is.
Yeah, whatever the definition of it is. Yeah, no, I haven't felt weird. I haven't felt good since about Wednesday, but this weekend really hit me. That's why I wasn't in Friday Night Who this week, because I went home and went to bed. And then got up Saturday morning and went to a family reunion.
I'm sorry. I wasn't laughing at the family reunion.
Oh.
Scattershot, adjective, denoting something that is broad, but random and haphazard in its range.
Like
That is me. I have never had a definition of me better than that. Broad and random and broad, but random and haphazard.
Well, he looked it up in Webster, and in there's a picture right next to it. It's got a picture of Sean.
Yeah, right there.
Translations, word origins. Oh, hey, yeah, there I am.
Well, I got up Saturday morning, went to a family reunion for Holly's family, which was fun. We didn't stay too long, but
Now, where's her family from
we had
again?
lunch all over Kansas. We usually meet in Kansas City because,
That's the one. Okay.
well, she's got an uncle in South Carolina, and he and his family flew out, and then she has two uncles in Kansas City. That's why we always end up in Kansas City. Her dad's here, and then her aunt is in Hayes, Kansas. So, and then a lot of her cousins live in the Kansas City area. So it's kind of a center point. And it's easy for a lot of people. Then we came home. We were going to go to the Fiesta, but it was so hot on Saturday.
Oh, yeah, it
we
was.
had been out in the heat all morning because the family reunion was at a park. Was at Shawnee Mission Park, and we were just exhausted. So we went home and we were just kind of sitting around recovering from the heat. And I said, "Well, if we're not going to the Fiesta, maybe I'll take the kids to see Ant-Man." So we went and saw Ant-Man.
Holly didn't want to go?
Saturday night. No, she's not. She's not into the Marvel films. The kids and I usually go see them in the theater when they release, and then she usually watches them with us when we come.
Oh, on video.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So she's still seen all of them, but
Just not. Okay.
yeah, she
And?
doesn't. She
She's
doesn't
doing
rush
opening
out to
weekend.
see them.
We've all seen it, right? So
Yeah.
we can, Okay, so spoilers. We're going to talk Ant-Man for a minute.
It was good. It's great. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. It was. I didn't think I would dislike it, but this like way exceeded my expectations for it. So it's funny. It's clever. It's. I think you put it best on Facebook that it's really just a heist film. Is what it feels like. I think it was you.
I haven't posted
Oh no,
it.
it was. I'm sorry. It was Robert at work said it felt like a heist film.
Yeah, oh yeah, totally is a heist film.
It's
Which is
funny.
kind of a nice change of pace for a Marvel film.
Yeah, I like that it has its own niche because I think the Marvel films are doing a nice job of being a connective universe, but also making each movie feel different. You know, like Captain America, for example, being that Rocketeer type film, that Joe Johnston feel. Thor being very epic and Shakespearean, and that kind of feel. Ant-Man being a heist film. Guardians being just, kind of
Space opera.
Screwball comedy. Yeah, space opera. That's good.
Scattershot.
Scattershot. And you have some that are just run of the mill. I think the Iron Man films are all kind of just cast in the same mold, for lack of a better word. But
See what you did there.
It also exceeded for me. I went in kind of expecting to enjoy it, and kind of I also got what I expected from it, which was just going to be a fun romp. Nothing too serious like the previous two Marvel movies have been. Even Guardians to an extent. This is just... It felt almost a bit more like Iron Man.
yeah,
It did have an Iron Man feel to it, yeah.
But it's almost for me, it was almost a weird mix of Iron Man and Incredible Hulk, since we didn't get a true origin story. We got this weird mixture.
Well, we did
where
get a true origin
story. There was an origin story, but we didn't see it in the traditional origin story.
we already had it. Well, we did, but
For a different
we got
character.
Scott's perspective
Yeah.
and his origin, but
Instead
we also
The
got,
origin of the suit and the technology and all of that.
It was nice to see some
It
Marvel
gives-
ground already established, even pre-movies. I thought that was good.
Yeah, and it gave such rich... Every time they do more history of the Marvel Universe, I appreciate it. And this provides so much more depth and texture to the overall universe, including S.H.I.E.L.D., especially considering the cameos in the very beginning I did not expect.
Yeah, I had actually seen that they had been cast. Hallie Atwell, who played Peggy Carter, and
John Slattery.
Yeah, John Slattery, who plays Howard Stark in Iron Man 2 in the film.
Which I was kind
of Iron Man 2.
I didn't expect to see him at all.
And then the technology they used to make... I swore he walked off the set of Wall Street. Michael Douglas? My goodness,
yeah.
the technology was so good.
I wonder how
once
much
in a while.
work went into just that first
He
scene.
walked in, and I went, damn, he still looks good. How come the makeup for the rest of these people is not so great? Because... Well, maybe he's just, and then they showed him later and went, no, that's what he looks like now. I don't know how they did that.
They had to make them all look older and her look younger, or him look younger. So
Yeah.
I was like,
Well, no, the two of them, the one he gave a bloody nose to made him look younger too.
yeah, that's great. Yeah.
So it was like, and then her older, and John Slattery just looks like himself.
He does, which he's played now. It's probably the first film he's played the age that he is.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been too long after that film stuff. I don't know. It was probably filmed in the 70s, though. I don't know. When I say film stuff, I mean the film that Tony's watching in Iron Man 3 where he unlocks the key to the... 2, yeah. Iron Man 2 where he unlocks the key to the
Unobtainium.
arc reactor. I hesitate to call it a fun romp because I think this movie a fun romp is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well,
This movie strikes this perfect balance between a comedy and a drama.
maybe what I'm
It's
looking
got-
for isn't so much fun romp as
It's an enjoyable.
it doesn't
film.
have earth-shattering implications for the Marvel universe.
No, it doesn't. And,
Where Age of Ultron,
but all the
Winter Soldier,
all the
did.
starter movies do. I mean,
Yeah.
Iron Man didn't have huge
Well, and it's just
implications, and
after
and
so long
Thor didn't
since
have
a
huge,
first
huge
movie,
implications.
even though Guardians is a first movie, it doesn't quite feel like a first movie. If that makes sense.
It also has pretty, well,
It's
not
got an
earth-shattering, but
Infinity-
world-shattering.
Yeah, it's got an Infinity Stone tie-in.
Yeah,
so
it-
it's got a broader scope, and it's
it's
kind of it's different to go back to that smaller scope again.
It's the first one that really has an Infinity Stone in its first set of the series. So.
I don't know anything about Ant-Man. I know nothing about Ant-Man. And they announced, we're going to do Ant-Man, and I kind of went, nobody cares about Ant-Man, really. I mean, what's this thing? And then the whole Edgar Wright controversy, and people were apparently upset over, the idea of Hank Pym, because apparently, if you go further back into the comics, I've done some research, really far back into the comics, he's not exactly the nicest guy.
No, he's not.
That's
he
part of
wasn't
why
in
they
his
changed
either,
what
so
they did.
Yeah.
He wasn't the nicest guy in this movie. In fact, I kind of liked where they went with the character. Because
I did too.
It did.
Well,
It had shades of the Hank Pym that we know from the comics, from the 80s. Because before that, Tales of Astonish was, I think, started in the 1960s or something like that, and he was just kind of his own person.
I like the name drop, too, that they
Yeah,
threw.
that was nice.
Tales to Astonish.
But I just, so I kind of went, like you, I just kind of went into it with no, it's a Marvel movie. So, yeah, I'm going to kind of have that automatic level of some enjoyment. And I'm sure they'll do a good job with it. But, I don't know how much I can be wowed by this. And I came out of it going, wow. I mean,
I don't know if I was wow, but I was like, that was good.
It had the feel of Iron Man 1 with the fun factor of Guardians.
Yeah.
For me. And it was such, because don't get me wrong, I liked Ultron, but I came out of Ultron with that little sense of reservation that maybe the MCU was getting just a little tired, that we're starting to kind of get a formula. Here's this, and it's like, yeah, this is exactly what I expected. And I didn't know what I expected out of this because I don't know anything about Ant-Man. But I had so much fun watching it, and you're right, it's part comedy and part heist film and it struck that perfect balance between all these little elements that was going on, and it was just a fun movie.
I think it's going to wind up being an underappreciated film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I disagree. I think that I just disagree with you left and right. Must be corrupted in it. I disagree because I think that because of all the things that Sean pointed to, with all the rocky start and you go into it, it's been the least advertised Marvel film. I mean, it ramped up the last 2 weeks as far as advertising goes, but it really just they didn't say much about it. They didn't show much about it. They didn't really push it like they've pushed a lot of the Marvel films. And I think what happened was this first weekend, I think it did better than even Marvel maybe thought it was going to do.
Well,
I think they wanted between 60 and 65,000, and it opened at 58.
Yeah.
So they're almost there. But I really think that the marketing department felt that they could have even come in further under the bar. I really get the impression. And I think what happened was because of all that happened before, all the rocky lead up to it, I think that
they were hedging their bets a little bit. You think?
Well, I think that kept a lot of people. I think it kept a lot of diehards, especially Wright fans, that are still sore over the breakup. I think that kept them out of the theater. But I think the nice thing is by hitting the 58 million mark this weekend, and then
so you think it's going to get a big?
It'll have word of mouth. It'll get a boot, and I think it'll boost a boost next week. I think it'll probably stay pretty level. I don't think it'll hit 58 million next week. Don't get me wrong. But it has no competition really until Mission Impossible, which is still 2 weeks down the road, or 3.
Yeah,
2 weeks down the road. So it won't lose its momentum until 2 or 3 weeks, and because I think word of mouth is getting around, because it's 78. I think. Well, I checked Sunday, 78% fresh rating on.
Yeah, I got a higher fresh rating than Ultron.
It's got a 64 on Metacritic. It did as of Saturday anyway, Sunday anyway. So. It's getting good reviews. I haven't seen very few things negative about it. There's some people that didn't like it as well as others, but there's been no negativity about it. So I think that word of mouth is going to keep it at a steady pace, and I think more people will appreciate it. I mean, even Guardians, even though it opened at 98, I mean, it really surged in that next week because of word of mouth. So if this even gets that little bump, it'll help.
It's sitting at an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes for critics and a 92 audience.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
So. I think that'll help. I think it'll keep the momentum going. And I think that it didn't open as well as even the other first starts, which you really have to compare it to like Thor.
Well, it was the second lowest.
What was the lowest?
An Incredible Hulk.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Which I read an article that infuriated me, saying Ant-Man opened the lowest of the Marvel Cinematic movies. Second, if you count Incredible Hulk. Of course, you count Incredible Hulk. What kind of
but
stupid
even Marvel doesn't
that?
count Incredible Hulk because it was co-produced with Universal. So.
But it's still part of the Marvel.
It is.
They even include it in clips of stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So, and you can't just disregard it
because
completely.
I think he included in clips because to date it's the only
standalone
Hulk movie that you can really point to and go, ha ha. But the Universal attachment to that, I mean, it's a vastly different beast.
But from a Marvel perspective, you have to compare it to Thor and Captain America, and it didn't open as wide as those. But I think those are the ones that are sort of overlooked now because of things that have come since. Civil War, Guardians of the Galaxy, both Avengers films. And so I think even Ant-Man has a better chance against those in the long run as far as, appreciation index.
We'll see. I thought Evangeline Lilly did a pretty good job in it, too.
I think she's one of the best parts of the movie.
Yeah.
Or as I have to tell Holly, because she never can remember who she is, Kate from Lost. I see. Evangeline Lilly. Who? Kate from Lost. Oh, yeah.
Although the haircut telegraphs the ending.
It does?
She totally has a wasp haircut.
Oh, well.
I saw that haircut and I thought, oh, she's going to wind up being the Wasp.
Well,
Yay!
I don't know. I kind of went into it thinking it was a nod. I didn't expect to see her suit. I didn't expect to see. We did sound the spoiler warning, right?
We did.
'Cause that's the mid-sequence credit.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
Mid-credit
the end credit
Very
sequence. The very end. That was Bucky, right? Yeah. Caught in a whatever it was.
Vice.
Okay, have you guys looked into that at all?
Nope.
Those were dailies from the. That's
lifted
actually
directly
coming
from
That's coming
Civil
from
War.
the film.
So it's not a special.
The Russos gave
okay.
them dailies saying, "Here you
Here,
go,
use this one. So we'll actually see that scene in Civil War.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause that's what I wondered, because it was like,
Well,
we're going to
Wait,
skip
we
over the.
captured him?
We're
What?
just going to skip
I-
over that whole bit of business.
that's exactly why I looked into it, because I thought, well, we're not going to tackle their side hunt for Winter Soldier at all. And then when I went and read that it was part of the dailies.
That's what I had said to Sarah. I was disappointed that we might not be seeing that. So I was really glad that it wasn't that case.
There was way too much going on there, though, for them not to include that in this.
Oh, yeah.
I know a guy.
I loved all the Falcon
Sort of makes
stuff,
me
too.
wonder if it'll be a pre-open,
Could be.
cold open, so which would be fine. I mean, as long as it's
Was
a good
anybody else
5
just
or
a
6
little
minutes.
shocked at the cold open for this? That it just, like, trailer, and then he walks into this room and starts berating people. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, the movie started.
Yeah.
And there were no credits. There's no, and it just rolled.
Well, we got
that's-
the Marvel
that's-
flip, didn't we?
yeah,
or did we
we-
even
yeah,
get
that's
that
after.
afterwards?
that's
we got the Marvel
that's
flip.
after he.
But that's in line with all of Phase 2. All of Phase 2, you get a pre-credit, the Marvel flip, and then most of them, aside from Age of Ultron, did not even have a title until
I
the
didn't
very
realize
end.
the Marvel flip had been after on some of the other films.
I believe so.
Okay. Well, you're probably right.
I don't know
But
all
was
of
saying
them,
with him,
but
because, of course, I don't know about your guys' cut, but our film, the credits didn't even have hardly any black between that and the film. It was like it went fade to black, and then we're walking into a room. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was,
yeah.
it
Yeah,
was-
yeah, no, it just
There was hardly any fade.
like
to black.
I literally thought it was another trailer until I went, wait a minute, I recognize these people. Hey, cool, there's Agent Carter. You know,
Oh, they're making an Agent Carter movie. Oh wait.
oh, wait.
Oh, she's in this.
so again, spoilers warning has been sounded. Mel had to go to the bathroom. And she waited, and I had to go. But I was like, I think I can make it. Well, she finally got up to go. She missed the 2 minutes of the movie that had all of the plot in it. When the guy is, the cops are arresting the thing, and the guy goes running, steals their car, and then comes back and inadvertently leans on the horn, which was like, oh, cool, a callback. I wasn't expecting that. And the cop recognizes the horn, so he goes over to bust them. And then we cut back to the inside of the thing, and they reveal that the agents on the inside are Hydra. And then, so she comes back, and I'm like, okay, let me see where I can go from here. And then I don't remember what Ant-Man was doing at the time, but she missed something with him, too. I was like, oh, this is all
Stuck in
important.
the thing.
Oh, the funny thing was, Caitlin, she kept bouncing in her seat. I said, "You go to the bathroom?" Yeah. I said, "Go now." She said, I'm going to miss something. She's bouncing. And then it got to the point where he was shrinking down to the molecular level. And she goes, "I can't wait." She went. And I was like,
That's the end of the movie.
So she left, but she came back really quick. I've never seen the Grey's Anatomy. But she came back after he goes and pops back into the room. And I looked at her and I said, "You didn't really miss anything. He shrunk down to me like beyond the molecular, went into the quantum realm, and then used one of the little disc things to make himself big again." And she goes, "Oh, okay, then I really didn't miss much." Okay, all right. It was climactic, but I guess I could explain it in like 6 seconds.
That was not what I was expecting.
No, not at all.
When he
That was nice.
when he reached in and said pick on some of your own size and threw the little doodad and shrank the guy, I went, oh, I know where this is going. We're going into the quantum realm, because I assumed that because what was his name, Yellow Jacket, because he got shrunk by one of these devices, that he was then going to forget and attempt to use his and shrink smaller than that. And he was just going to blink out, and they were going to go, ha ha, fooled you. And it never didn't happen. Then we went the reverse with it. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
That works pretty well.
Yeah. Not going to complain about that.
I think we should mention, though, that the shining star of this film was Michael Pena as Luis. He was awesome. He was so dead on. And I read an interview with him, and he said that he actually knew a guy just like this. And he came into this role going, okay, that's what I'm going to be. I'm going to be this guy that I knew, on the streets. He says, the guy did everything with a smile. He could give you bad news and still have a smile on his face. And he said what happened was he came in and he had like a dozen lines. And he was like, I just want to be in a Marvel film. So they cast him and he was in this. And then he was so great that they kept expanding his lines and then expanding his part. And he said, eventually I had like this huge role in this film that I went in thinking I had a dozen lines.
Yeah, my grandfather died. And my dad got deported. But I got the van.
Oh, man, I didn't expect Judy Greer either. She's in everything this summer.
Yeah.
Help me.
She was Maggie, Cassie's mom. Scott's ex.
Oh, yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Which all the acting, I thought it was just good. I mean, just top notch across the board.
Even Paul Rudd, who tends to kind of play the Paul Rudd role, kind of transcended it.
Yeah, I agree. Which is very interesting because, number one, even though I could tell the new director,
Peyton Reed, something like that.
Peyton
Reed had really kind of made this his film. You could tell.
Yeah.
But you could still see shades of Edgar Wright's story in there, and even the style.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it wasn't you didn't go into it and go, wow, that was really an Edgar Wright film. He just emulated Edgar Wright. He didn't. But
no, he didn't at all.
You could see lots of shades of Edgar Wright. And then that's going to be obvious because Edgar Wright wrote, a good chunk of the script with the other guy. And so there was still a lot of Edgar Wright to it. And I felt that Peyton Reed did a nice job of finding that middle ground of saying, okay, I'm going to make this my film, but I'm also going to, keep a lot of that stuff, a lot of that feel. The other thing that I noticed, and what made me think about, you said he kind of transcended himself as far as Paul Rudd goes. Paul Rudd wrote a whole good chunk of this movie, too.
He got
he's the one
credit.
took over and punched it up and did the Marvel changes, him and
Adam McKay.
Adam McKay. They're the ones that came in and reformed this script. And for somebody that comes in and does, the acting and the writing, a lot of times you expect that safety net to be put in place. I'm just going to be Paul Rudd. And he wasn't. Yeah. And so to put his print on it in writing as well and still be able to take away, create a different character, that was pretty good. I was very impressed.
When considering the people that came in to take over for Edgar Wright, not really superhero writers and directors, and they did a really good job.
They really did.
I read
stepping into the new format for them because most of them are comedians.
I read an interesting article that Peyton Reed apparently had been offered. He's been wanting to do a Marvel movie forever, and he was offered the original Fantastic Four.
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
And when he went to talk with them, and the studio's like, "Well, we want this," and he was like, "No, that's not it's not a kids movie." They're like, "No, that's what we want to do it." And so he walked away from it because he was like, it needs to be. And in his words, the Fantastic Four is Marvel's crown jewel. And I went, really? Because I've never seen the Fantastic Four as anything but a B superhero team. But
Well, they really are the crown jewel because they were one of the first teams.
Yeah, so. Because they're one of the first. That's why, not based off storytelling.
But I thought it was interesting, and it's like, I wonder what would have happened had he been given the opportunity to direct it. But
I think the oh wow moment was when they're going to go to this warehouse, one of Howard Stark's old warehouses, to pick up this device, and the clouds clear. And we got a problem here. Did you know that shot is the overhead shot from Avengers? They lifted it straight from Avengers. Mm-hmm. And Kevin Feige in an interview said, except for that shot is cut away from in Avengers before you see more of the compound behind it. And he said, I can't tell you what that is, but the more compound that you see in this is going to play a vital role in Captain America Civil War. And so I thought, that's really cool to kind of get that and then broaden that spectrum a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, the same with the opening shot of S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters being built.
Yes.
At the very beginning.
What's it called?
Tricillian.
Tricillian, yeah.
Yeah, whatever it is, the tower thing, and the fact is like we just saw that get blown up in the last one, so it was kind of cool that there's that. I guess it was 2 movies ago now, but
Well, and I like that Hank was a S.H.I.E.L.D. operative and reluctantly working for S.H.I.E.L.D. and just got fed up with it. I thought that was cool.
Had you been spoiled by the cameo?
Yeah,
Anthony Mackie.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I watched the European trailer.
I didn't watch the trailer. I knew he was in it, but I didn't know in what capacity.
I think maybe once upon a time I heard the casting news, but at this point I just kind of assumed that they're all going to show up at some point. So
they didn't release that name. It wasn't until the European trailer dropped that they finally had to put out
TV trailers that came out.
Oh well, yeah, that's right. But it was after the European trailer dropped that Marvel said, "Oh yeah, by the way, Mackie's in this." Oops. I think that was probably a marketing team at the end going, let's see if we can bolster some geeks.
Get some of those Avengers
get
fans
these guys
into
back
there.
in there.
Yeah.
And that
I really like the
that and all of
they
the
made.
posters that they kept releasing that had him standing on Captain America's shield and on. Was he on Thor's shoulder or was he on Mjolnir?
He was on Mjolnir.
He was on Mjolnir.
He was on Iron Man's
Iron Man's shoulder. That's what it was. Yeah.
Did you see the fan one of Black Widow?
No.
I'm sure you can imagine where he was standing.
No.
supposedly there was a Spider-Man.
Yes.
There's a reference.
There's a reference
At the end.
And it was
accidental.
completely coincidental.
Yeah, coincidental.
It was written before when Luis is recounting the story, and Anthony Mackie's looking, or Anthony Mackie, Falcon is looking for Ant-Man, and he's talking to she says, "Well, you've got superheroes that can swing from swing through the air and crawl up walls." She says that, and Kevin Feige said that is complete, and Peyton Reed confirmed it. He said, that is completely coincidental. That all was written before
they were just naming generic powers.
Before Spider-Man came into the fold. And so it became that much more important when we got Spider-Man. And we inadvertently nodded to Spider-Man.
Okay, I didn't. I took it as generic nods. I didn't take it as I didn't even take the Spider-Man.
As soon as I heard it, I looked at Caitlin and I went, Spider-Man.
That's cool. I think Michael Douglas should keep the goatee.
It looks good on him.
It does look good on him.
You think we'll get a Hank Pym backstory movie?
No.
Good, I don't want one.
Well, I don't think there's a need for one. I don't think anybody thinks there's a need.
I think we'll delve into it more.
And I think Marvel's a smart enough studio that they don't they don't have execs sitting up there saying, "Okay, we got to have a Michael or a Hank Pym backstory." We might see more flashbacks.
I think we will in whatever sequel we get.
It'd be really cool if he showed up. They did a really smart job of
Carter. Well, that would be
my
really
prediction
cool,
for
they'd
us.
have to unage him.
Yeah, my prediction for Ant-Man 2 is we're going to see that scene. Even more so, where the flashback to him and
Janet,
and
she goes in. You never saw her face because they haven't cast her yet.
Because I'm sure she's still in the quantum realm, and because he says time and space doesn't make a bit of difference. She's probably not going to have aged either. So.
Yeah, I also read an interview with Kevin how it's going to tie into Doctor Strange that way too with the quantum realm.
As soon as they said quantum realm, I said, okay, there's them opening the door to Doctor Strange, so that they're working their way into Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange is the one that back in the day when they said there's going to be, or not even when they announced it, when they said that this could be on the horizon, because that was the one I think they spoke most seriously about.
Kevin's been wanting to do that one for a long time.
And so I thought, you got to do a lot of manipulating in order to get that. I mean, Thor was enough because they explained that away with science, but I
was really concerned about Thor. I was like, how are you going to make this work? Science. Oh, okay.
Interdimensional. That's what I was looking for. Yeah. I mean, Thor's interdimensional. So. Yeah. Which is great. But then when you start going quantum realm, and when you're talking about like the netherworld and that kind of stuff.
Space between spaces.
Yeah. But that's cool. It works. All right. We've talked far long enough. I didn't watch anything else this week, really. I watched Ghostlight the other day because I wanted to catch up and make sure I was ready for Curse of Fenric next week.
We watched Mission Impossible 2, continuing our watch of gearing up for those. I've always been I think I was one of like three people that are like, oh man, no, I think they get better with each, I like Mission Impossible. And for some reason, I just haven't watched this one in a long time. And watching it this time, it's like, wow, this one's really dated.
Yeah.
It's very 90s. The soundtrack, the John Woo, there's the dub shot. Okay. It didn't hold up nearly as well for me as I thought it would. It's still a good movie, but it's
back
not.
when John Woo was first doing those kind of movies, it felt new and fresh. But now that you've seen so many of those John Woo style films that dominated the 90s, that's what makes it feel really dated. Yeah, I think it's the weakest of all the films, which is funny because I had never seen Mission Impossible 3 until my rewatch last year, 2 years ago, when Ghost Protocol came out on DVD. Obviously, it came out 3 years ago, but so I hadn't seen 3, but I hadn't seen 3 because I had never heard. Because I remember liking Mission Impossible 2, and I didn't hear much about Mission Impossible 3. And it really wasn't talked up. It was very low key. I didn't hear any reviews or anything. So I thought, oh, it just must not be as good as 2, and it couldn't live up to it. And then when I did the rewatch and I watched 3, I went, "This is a much better film than Mission Impossible 2. It feels like Mission Impossible again." And then, of course, I watched Ghost Protocol. And to me, I think that's
still the best one.
It's the best one, which is weird to say that the fourth film in a line of movies is the best one, because that's
Usually
rarely
not
the case.
It's no, it was just it's weird that you get
Bye, Stacy.
You get a film like that, and like I said, because they changed everything. We're going to get John Woo. We're going to do this because I kind of feel like Mission Impossible didn't hit the market that Paramount maybe wanted it to hit in the first one. So it's like, we're going to really up the action quotiont, and all of the changes they do, but all of the changes that they made to it to up the action quotient, I think, are what hinder it. It's really weird that it's just this. Yeah, this is exactly what I wanted, and then you go back and watch it. And go, no, this wasn't it at all.
It feels the least like a Mission Impossible film, which is funny because at the time that you see it, you've only got one thing to compare it to. But then when you see 3, you go, okay, this feels more like the first film. This is what the second film should have felt like. And then you see 4 and go, okay, they're still in that same mode. Then you go, okay, that's the least like a Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah, but all the motorcycle stuff, and it's just like, yeah, this is cool. And you watch it this time, it's like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's been so overshadowed by all the crazy stunt stuff that's come since then. But I mean, I know that's Tom Cruise on a motorcycle. I'm still impressed by that. But yeah,
and we'll get Tom Cruise on the side of an airplane.
Okay. Did you guys get the preview for that?
Yeah.
Okay. Tom Cruise doesn't age. He's one of those guys that he looks like he's still maybe 5 years away from Top Gun.
He's like 10th level in Scientology, and they quit aging at that point. So.
Until he comes out and says, "Hi, I'd like to show you a clip," and I went, "Whoa!"
Well, that's because
no makeup here, Tom.
That's because rumor is he's leaving Scientology, and so that aging's catching up.
It all hit him at once. I don't know what the deal was. It was like because I've been saying Tom has not aged. You look at him in Edge of Tomorrow or Oblivion, he still looks the same. He has not changed at all. And then all of a sudden, in this, I want to show you this trailer of this film. I was like,
that's because that's him in real life, and all the rest is movie magic.
Yeah, apparently.
I think he has a contract that says you have to make me look the same age I did in the last film. And he's had that contract for 15, 20 years. And so...
That's why the budgets on his films are so big, because it costs so much money to make him look so young.
He very wisely gave up...
2/3 of the money for the film go into making Tom look young.
Yeah.
Very wisely gave up the green M&Ms in the trailer in exchange for the age clause. Yeah, no, I was flabbergasted when that came out. I was like, Tom, what happened? I mean, don't get me wrong. I still hope to look as good as Tom Cruise when I'm his age, but won't happen.
How old is he? What, 50? Probably in his 50s?
He's in his 50s.
I'm going to say 55. 55. Well, I should throw my guess up when I think that Keith's going to go look it up, and then he stops. Well, yes, 55. I got it.
Born in 62.
Oh, there's math involved now, Keith.
Hold on.
This is 56. No. 62, 53.
53.
Isn't that crazy? Tom Cruise is 53. That's just...
He's only 10 years older than me. So no.
It's still insane to me.
I remember being much younger than I should have been when I watched it and seen Risky Business, and at that time he was probably in his 20s. So.
Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, that's really...
We watched The Imitation Game.
Ooh, Benedict.
It was really good.
Okay, I'm glad you said Benedict because I was going, oh, that sounds so familiar.
Oscar nominated.
And
Keira Knightley.
the elf girl, yeah.
The elf girl?
She looks like an elf. She looks like a real life
Evangelina Lilly?
No. She doesn't look like an elf, although she does in the film, in the Hobbit films. But no, I've always thought she's a pretty girl. Don't get me wrong, but she kind of has an elfish look.
Liv Taylor's an elf. Liv Tyler is an elf.
She was an elf in the movie.
No, she is an elf in real life. Because there's
she's
no
Steven Tyler's daughter.
Well, that's what I mean, though. Is you look at Steven.
He's not an elf.
You look at Steven Tyler, and then you look at her, and it's like elf magic. That's the only thing that can explain that. Thank God she takes after her
He's a bit
mom.
of an ogre, though. He's like a thin ogre or a gremlin.
A
Goblin.
Oh, goblin, yeah.
A goblin. Elf magic. Yeah, you're right.
Well, he doesn't look anything like David Bowie.
Or the butt of several jokes from the Timey-Wimey Puppet Show.
The only thing that the two of them have in common is they both look like women.
It's true.
Dude looks like a lady.
And I think they wear scarves.
Maybe.
He wears a lot of scarves.
He does. I don't know if she does.
I was just about to say the same thing. Well, Steven does.
I don't know if I can name a time when I've seen her with a scarf. Anyways, Imitation Game was really good. Oh, it's one of those movies also that has those. Oh, hey, look, it's that guy. Charles Dance is in it. Mark Strong. Charles Dance is Tywin Lannister.
Oh, okay. You gotta give me the names.
You know who Mark Strong is, right?
No.
At our age, it all just kind of falls.
Actor. Hodor! I know Hodor.
Mark Strong is not in Game of Thrones.
20 years ago, I could have.
Oh, yeah.
Boom. Now it's
Pre-stroke, you'd have said Mark Strong, and I could have played 6 Degrees of 7 Bacon with him.
7 bacon?
Oh, that gay.
I haven't even.
Sherlock Holmes, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, Kingsman.
Yeah, okay. That's just because we just watched that again.
He's been in a lot of stuff. He always kind of plays a bad guy.
I haven't even had a stroke, and I have no recollection from names. Although I have no recollection from names anyway, so it's.
And it's also got the guy who played Ozymandias in Watchmen.
Oh, I'm glad he's still getting work. I liked him.
He looks completely different.
The last thing I ever saw him in.
With his natural brunette hair.
He doesn't look like Ozymandias?
Brown.
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 I learned most recently that men are never brunettes.
Oh,
it's only women. Yeah.
Oh.
Why?
I don't know. It's just law.
It's just the way it is.
I think it's in the Constitution. I don't know.
All right, I'll buy that.
And of course, Benedict does a phenomenal job in it. It's a rather inspiring but kind of somber story of what happened. I highly recommend it. Benedict kind of does do at first feels very, oh, look, he's Sherlock. Then he kind of moves past that and stretches his acting chops a little bit more than Sherlock lets him.
Speaking of Sherlock, real quick, so everybody saw the trailer?
Oh, the clip?
The clip?
Yeah.
From the
special.
The Sherlock Christmas special?
You can talk about it. Better than me.
It looks good. and the best part of it was
I knew it was there. I just hadn't sought it out yet.
It's everybody wearing Victorian or Edwardian. What is it?
I think it's Victorian.
Victorian.
They were written in the Edwardian. Okay. Well, part of them were Victorian, some of them were Edwardian, but
they're wearing oldie timey
Doyle
clothes.
is from Edwardian times, but yeah, Sherlock is from Victorian.
Whatever era the BBC does really well,
Victorian.
It's that. And Martin Freeman's got the big, period handlebar mustache and
a nice line.
I've seen
a nice line about it.
I've seen pictures, so you're not spoiling anything.
It's
there.
funny. And then the best bit is the tag at the end when it comes up and says
Sherlock coming soon.
Ish.
Ish.
It actually says ish on the tag.
Soonish or Sherlock-ish?
Soonish.
Soonish.
Coming soon.
It's a Christmas special. It's going to come out.
Oh, they haven't said it's especially Christmas. They have not announced that.
We've all called it the Christmas special. BBC has not confirmed that.
They just said it says special.
Because they may not get it out for Christmas.
Last time Sherlock aired was New Year's.
Yeah, it was. So it might be a New Year's special.
Yeah. I don't want to compete with Doctor Who.
Well, yeah.
If they're smart, they put them both the same night.
But back to back, you think Moffat's just going, give me the day. I own Christmas.
I did watch I just blanked on the name of it. The panel they do at the Zach Levi panel. The Sherlock one. It's for a charity. I just blanked on it.
The Zach Levi Sherlock panel. But that's not the name of it?
No, it's Conversations for a Cause with Nerd HQ. The Sherlock one of that was really enjoyable. I highly recommend going and watch it. They don't really talk much about what's going on in the special. They just talk about the show in general. It's really good. That's what I've been doing. Also, while playing Lego Hobbit.
Watching all the Nerd HQ panel.
Working on them, yeah.
I guess I did watch a little more Clone Wars. Where are you at? Did you get any done this week?
I didn't watch any this week.
Dude.
No, we had intended to watch Rebels this week, too, and I didn't get to it.
I got 2 words for you. Zombie termites.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
That was a good one.
Yeah. I'm glad you can give me succinct little things that I can get in and go, oh, yeah, that one. I also hung some pictures, finally.
I saw your picture on...
Stealing my thunder.
Well, I don't know. A little bit.
I showed Belle the picture. She went, that's not our house. Whose house is that? Oh, those are Keith's autographs, aren't they?
And those are only the Who ones. I haven't got to the other ones yet. I think have I talked on the show about our walls? How they're plaster walls?
Oh.
So I've been waiting to hang anything. Because we had picture rail molding. So I need to get picture rail hooks and wire to hang them there. But that stairway that I have them hanging on doesn't have picture rail molding. So I just went ahead and
your picture's going to be with the strings all the way.
It's going to be invisible string.
Sorry, it's your house, and I'm sure it'll look great, Keith.
I'm hoping you won't be able to see it because I don't like the cord either.
Oh, I hate that.
Just put a nail on the
wall.
Well,
I want to try to avoid it with
when
plaster.
When it's plaster, you have to be careful because it's hard. If you
can
with
easily
a plaster,
crack the wall.
you almost have to drill a anchor hole and use a screw. The problem with that is it's great because it's precise and concise and you don't damage the wall. Except for when you're ready to take it down, you got a big old giant hole or an anchor in the wall because you've used an anchor and a screw.
Luckily, the nails I was using for
plaster walls are
the autographs are really small nails. So
just use penny nails.
They'll pull out if there's any weight to them at all. They'll pull
luckily the autographs
none of those frames. If you get those frames, none of them are going to be.
I wouldn't even get penny nails.
Hang
I'd
like
get
that.
I'd get sheetrock nails. Not sheetrock.
No, not those.
No. What are the little tiny? The ones that are smaller than penny nails that actually get in. Build furniture kits, that you put that last piece on the back.
That's pretty much what I've been using.
That's even smaller than a penny nail. That's what I would use.
And I hung one in the hallway because there's no. It just occurred to me while I was hanging those that look, there's no rail here either. So I'm gonna have to just. So I hung my brown coat one in the hallway. Didn't take a picture of that one. And our curtain. Sarah's excited about our curtain on the door.
But you got Adrian up.
Temporarily. That's not his permanent residence spot, but. Because that one has to be one of these pictures versus one of these pictures. So, but yeah, he's up.
Anything else? You guys do anything else?
No. I thought I had something else that I watched that I wanted to talk about, but for the life of me, I can't think of it. So it's like, not important.
I've been I haven't even felt like watching anything. I feel like the Ant-Man was one of those things that I was like, got to see it opening weekend. This is my only window, and I was at the point where I was just feeling so bad. I thought, maybe we shouldn't do this. But I went and just a movie. I don't have to move much. I haven't felt like anything all weekend. Well, the other thing we did, now that I think about this, this could have ended up being horrible for me, but
we moved a credenza off the roof and cleaned the gutter.
But we Sunday morning we got up and went to the U-Haul place. And with my mother-in-law, and rented a 23-foot long U-Haul, and drove it clear up to Jackson County, out in the middle of the country, where we met a sheriff's deputy, because for the last 2 years she's been storing some of her stuff with this guy up there, and this guy's a real jackwad. He just he's crazy. He's got like cancer, and she wants to get her stuff from him before he kicks it because she doesn't want to go into probate. And so she's been paying this guy for like 2 years, trying to pay him off for all of the storage space. And the county clerk told her that all she had to do was take her paperwork from the court because the judge she'd taken him to court for it. And the judge said, "You got to pay him X amount of money, and then he has to give you his stuff." That was the judgment. And so she's been paying him over the course of like 2 years, and she finally got it paid off. She had her last check, and the clerk of the court said, "Yeah, just take this paper and that last check, hand it to him. He has to give you your stuff." So we went out there, and because the guy's nuts, we had met a Jackson County Sheriff's deputy out there. So we went out there, and she got there, and this guy he was like, "No, she owes me $10,000." I mean, just nuts. And the sheriff's deputy was trying to talk to him and say, "Listen, she's got this paperwork, and you just give her stuff. That way you're not worried about it anymore." He says, "No, I have to have $10,000. He says, "Well, nowhere in this thing does it say that she has to owe you." She says, "It looks like she's got all the canceled checks. Come to find out, he didn't even cash any of the checks." So, but he said, "Well, she's got paperwork. Will you just give her her stuff?" And he was like, "Well," and then he started changing the story. "Well, I've got them all in the back there, and I've got padlocks. I don't have the keys." I mean, it just changed the story. And the sheriff's deputy finally said, he took us aside and said, "I can't do anything about it. I get the paperwork you have does not have a judge's stamp that declares the order." Mm-hmm. And he said, "You're going to have to go back and get this." And my mother-in-law was devastated because she's got stuff in there that she's had for years, and she wants it back. Anyway, it was this huge mess. So she's got to go back to court with the guy and get this. But we had driven all the way out there with this big old long truck, and we had to come all the way back into town. Luckily, she went to the U-Haul, and they refunded her most of her money. But she was pretty devastated about it. But I kept thinking, this is like a blessing and a curse, because I'd rather have gotten this stuff for her, but I would have been in just so much pain afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
So we did all that and didn't manage to get that back. But anyway, it's kind of a tragic story now that I tell it. But there was nothing funny about it all, because this guy was really horrible to her. But anyway.
Jeez.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Keep us appraised of how that turns out once she gets...
Well, then to make things worse, we get back.
Well, I don't want to make it worse.
We pick the kids up, and poor Mason, he's been looking forward to this Cub Scout swimming thing all week long. All week long. They're getting ready to go because Holly was going to take the kids up there to visit the North Pole, which is one of their favorite places to go. And she gets on her email just before she leaves, and they had canceled it.
Oh.
And he just started crying. And she goes, "Oh, no. She said, we're still going to go swimming." So she said, they moved it till next week. It's going to be at the North Pole next week. She said, "Can we go to Gage Blaisdell so we don't have to go clear up to North Topeka?"
Yeah.
And Mason said, "Yeah, that'd be okay. It'll be okay." So he ended up getting to go swimming. So she took him swimming Sunday night. But I thought, how can this day get any worse?
Jeez.
That one had a good.
That one did have a good
ending.
Which we could not record.
Well, and then last night I was in so much pain, and I almost texted you guys and said,
I wish you would have, because I hate being the one to say,
Well,
I can't do it this way.
It was one of those, had I waited another 30 minutes, I was going to, and then your text came in, and I went, "Oh, okay, well, that's not a problem."
We just, by the time we got done with Ant-Man and then we took everybody out to eat and everything, it was just the night was getting on. It was just like...
So anyway, that's why we're recording late this week. So you'll notice this one will be on your... it's not John. It's not your fault. It would have been my fault, so we'll share it.
It would have happened regardless.
Yeah, would have happened anyway. So this one's coming out late this week.
Yeah, okay.
Although I think our listeners our listeners are starting to expect to get shows now on Tuesday or Wednesday from us. Should we move on to news?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Some sad news following Glenn's sad stories.
Way to bring it down there, Bartlett.
We got us in the 10 o'clock news aspect for these two stories.
Was I the mood changer? How did that work?
Yeah, the transitional. Unfortunately, the oldest surviving actor to have worked on Doctor Who has passed away at the age of 101. Olaf Pooley. He was director Stallman in the 7-part story Inferno. So that's some sad news.
He was the crazy scientist.
Yeah.
Not the military guy, but the scientist guy.
The scientist.
Right? Yeah, okay.
And then also who passed away, actor Michael Hawkins. who played General Williams in Frontier in Space, which we just recently watched. He actually passed away late last year in October, but word never spread to anybody in the Who community
Really?
that he had passed.
Kind of shocking.
Just came out this past week. So,
Last October?
yeah. So those are your sad news. Here's something a bit more exciting.
And now for something completely different.
We recently talked about Big Finish doing Torchwood stories and speculated of who might be on there. And Yanto's getting a story.
Yay!
Yay.
So it's called Fall to Earth.
Okay. It is Gareth, isn't it?
Gareth Lloyd,
David-
isn't it?
David
Gareth Lloyd.
Yeah.
David Lloyd.
David Lloyd? No, Gareth Lloyd.
Gareth
Lloyd.
David Lloyd.
Gareth David
okay.
Lloyd. Is he...
All of it.
Yeah, he's coming back.
He's coming back to
Yanto.
play Yanto. Okay, well
Yeah.
then I'm okay
And
with
he's
it.
bringing all 3 names with him.
So he will show up in Fall to Earth, and following on from John Barrowman's return as Captain Jack in The Conspiracy. So this is the second story of this Torchwood line. I'm not going to say any details because I don't know any details about the actual story.
Just
Because I don't want a spoiler.
Oh, you have the details. You just...
I could search them out, but I'm not going to.
Make a
I'll look. Hang on.
pleasant change for you, won't it?
That's okay, Keith. I'll sound the spoiler alarm.
Speaking of spoilers, did you see that Alex Kingston got married?
Yeah.
Congratulations to her.
Did you see that?
Unfortunately,
a certain
off
doctor
the
was-
market.
Did you see a certain doctor was in the
I did not.
audience? Yeah, there was a picture of Matt Smith at the wedding, which is pretty cool. Congratulations, Alex. That's it for news. Shall we move on to feedback?
Yes, please. Is that what you're looking at me?
No?
I'm sorry, gang. I have not done anything this week, including playing Legacy. So there is no tip of the week again.
I haven't played it either, so
Of course, I think I'm the... No, that's not true. As I say, I was the only one that's... Lynn did a tip, but you had a tip.
I had a tip.
Not including the Don't Lose Your iPad.
Don't lose your iPad.
Not including that one.
Log in. Get your bonus.
I haven't even been doing that. I've been a bad Doctor Who Legacy fan.
Mel's been playing a lot. Like, she plays in the morning when she gets to work. She plays on her lunch break. She plays when she gets home. She's the one that's reminding me, have you logged in yet? Oh, yeah, I got to go do that. You know, and I jump on, and she's like, and she's asking me, who does this? I say, what are you stuck on? Because I need somebody that can unlock gems. We can do the First Doctor,
Only up to a certain point.
or you can do, well, anybody that...
Resets. the
Resets,
best one to do,
yeah.
I think Santa Claus resets.
Oh, I forgot Santa. Santa does reset, doesn't he? I had the flesh person and...
Oh, yeah, one of the gangers does.
who was the other one? Anyway. Yeah, so I was giving her tips for that so that she could go in there and get rid of some stuff. Because she was at it. She was
Mel,
swearing.
Mel got a tip of the week this week.
Mel got it to the She was swearing. She was all like, it's stupid. I hate it for lock. I don't mind it when they lock it and I can still move it. But when it's locked, oh, yeah. It's like, well, there's a perk that you can use for that, too. Okay. But she's actually catching up. The one thing I've been kind of stuck in a rut again because I've been trying to unlock the Triceratops. I went back to 3 and because I've only had like 3 or 4 characters left to get out of that wave, and I keep playing that level and I keep playing it and I keep playing it. And I can't get this dumb dinosaur to drop, and it's just infuriating me. So
You went to get the buffer for the increased drop rates.
yeah,
Interesting.
it's a rare drop.
Well, yeah, but that buffer should help.
You
a
would
little bit.
think.
The odds are not in his favor.
What I find myself doing is going and playing, bulk up levels, experience levels. And then when I get that little treasure chest up there, that little buffer, I go, oh! I haven't lately, but because I have got everything. But then I'd go somewhere where I needed something, and then I go play, and there's no guarantee. You don't always get it, but I always figure my chances are
Your odds are better.
that much
there.
better. Yeah.
Yeah,
How about feedback?
Maybe I'll try that.
Feedback. Ollie writes, The Roof of the World and Three's a Crowd. Hey guys, wow, I have to say I really enjoyed these 2 audio stories. It was great to have another 2 stories with Aramim, even though she does get the short end of the stick in The Roof of the World, with being taken over, and then Perry and the Doctor having to deal with the fallout from that in Three's a Crowd. Not too much else to say except that I enjoyed them. Looking forward to hearing everyone's thoughts on these 2 audio stories. Holly from Wisconsin.
Just jumped right in there, didn't you?
Yep.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you, Ollie.
Next up in feedback is Chrissy.
Chrissy writes, Three's a Crew. Dear Vortex Boys, when you guys were talking about how you'd never met any of us 5-ish fangirls, I was ready to jump on Facebook and go, what about Gally? So it's a good thing that Sean remembered, and you have met Mitch as well, don't forget. But I'm glad that Glenn got his giveaway package, and more importantly, for all your support in plugging our podcast on your podcast. Not to get all mushy and sentimental, but we really do take a lot of inspiration and motivation for what you 3 do, so thank you for that. Chris, I'm very sorry that you take your inspiration from us. Sounds like you guys had a great time at British Fest. Technical user issues notwithstanding, but on the flip side, we have something new to tease Sean about. Very lovingly, of course. Enough tangents. Time for reviews. The Roof of the World. This is a story that should not work. There's so many things going on. The historical setting, the callbacks to Black Orchid, the backstory with Aramim, and everything going on with her. It's a pretty full narrative. Yet, somehow, it still meshes together for a fantastic through line with Aramim at the center. One of the many things I love about Big Finish is how they take the new companions and flesh them out in ways that the classic series rarely, if ever, did. And even some of the classic companions that get that too. But I'm glad they take characters unique to Big Finish like Aram and give her a story to explore where she came from and why she's traveling with the Doctor and how she feels about it. Especially where she's a character from a historical time period and we get a chance to deal with that as well. The best part is that we get so many layers to Aramim's character, and we get to know and love her, which helps us connect with her in future stories. The Doctor and Perry don't get left behind in the narrative either, though, because while there's a full episode part of this story dedicated to Aramim's not death, we also get to go back to the real world where the Doctor and Perry are trying to deal with the situation in Tibet and all the crazy weirdness going on there now and how that circles back and relates to Aramim's plight. This is a story that I can listen to over and over again and find new things to think about and be entertained by. Three's a Crowd. This is another one I've listened to multiple times, and I absolutely adore it. I love the concept of this colony of people who've been brought up to think that contact with other human beings is strange and unusual. It's equal parts humorous and tragic, something that you can easily make fun of, which this story does, but it also doesn't take the humor too far, and it paints these people as victims of a terrible circumstance, with Auntie trying to help them out the best she can. The only thing I could probably complain about is by the end of the story, I want to slap Bellip, even though 7 Ways to Sunday, for how whiny and annoying she is. There's a reason for it, yes, but it's still grating. I also love that this story follows right on the heels of Roof of the World, and we're still dealing with the fallout from the events of that story and how Aram feels about traveling with the Doctor. She and Perry are quickly becoming dear friends, not unlike Tegan and Nyssa when they were traveling with the Doctor. Also, did you notice the quick nod to the Doctor's acknowledgement of his parting with Tegan? It's a little moment at the beginning when he's recalling a few of his past companions, and he suddenly gets sad at the mention of Tegan's name. Anyway, I could gush on and on about these 2 stories, but I'll let you guys get on with your discussion. Unless you didn't like these stories. Cough, Glenn. Cough, cough. And then I will simply ignore you. I don't know, Glenn tends to not like the stories I love. It's just a difference of taste there, but I guess it happens. That's it from me. Everyone have a great week. Chrissy.
Thank you, Chrissy.
Thank you, Chrissy.
Well, shall we move on to our reviews?
No.
No?
You like the Wizard of Oz?
The Roof of the World. Tibet, 1917. It's a time of great exploration, with intrepid teams of adventurers heading blindly into uncharted territory, determined to beat inexplicable odds and overcome any challenge they encounter. But some things are not necessarily that easy to defeat. An ancient evil, perhaps older than time itself, is stirring deep within the heart of the Himalayas. It has always known it will return and finish off what it started so many centuries before. But the time has to be right. As the TARDIS materializes with the Doctor determined to take full advantage of an invite to a cricket match, the catalyst that Dark Force needs unwittingly arrives.
Dun, dun, dun! I'll go first.
Go.
I liked it. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was kind of a middle-of-the-road story for me. There were a lot of elements, as Chrissy pointed out, that were very, very, very enjoyable, including Aramim's backstory. Yay! Because I love Aramim. I love the relationship between her and Perry. I was a little bit concerned when we sat down on Earth in the past.
Victorian London, or Victorian era.
It was kind of like, oh, we're going to do another historical.
Oh,
okay.
great, it's going to be Black Orchid again.
It was nice that there was a tie-in, too.
Yeah.
Not even so much that, but just, I was like, oh, okay, it's going to be one. But I don't know why, because the last Aramim in Space story that we got, I really hated. So maybe I should have been really excited for this. But I thought they did a great job with it. I don't know, maybe I was just in a nostalgic mood, because I really felt that both of these stories, I was really angling for some callbacks to little characters. We're in Tibet.
Yeah.
All right. I'm so glad that we did all this great intelligence stuff recently.
I half expected that to be the case.
And then it doesn't show up. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, don't worry, the great old ones. Okay, that's still cool. And I'll come back to that here in a moment when we get to the second review. But I just, I liked it. I thought it was really cool. And there was I don't know about you guys, there was a genuine sense of peril. Now, when they killed Aramim at the end of the first episode, and she was like dead, I was kind of like, well, okay, obviously she's not dead. But then the Doctor was dead, and Perry was dead.
Well, you spend that whole second episode with Aramim through whatever she was going through, and it's like, whoa, it's such a step away from what you're kind of expecting.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's dead. Yeah. And I was like, okay. So we get through that, and then we come back to the Doctor's half of the Doctor and Perry doing their business and kind of getting all.
I like how all that happened in a split second.
Yeah. And so coming then to the fourth segment, when they finally get in the TARDIS and go up the mountain and track down Aramim, and she's been blinded and she's been this, and I was like, ooh, like I was like, okay, this could have some ramifications here. This doesn't sound like it's just I'm chained to the wall, help. I mean, this something really bad has gone down. But then of course we kind of get our standard wrap up happy ending.
I really liked how the Doctor just kind of gives up trying to do the getting up the mountain and just like, all right, everybody pile into the TARDIS. We're just going to do this. I'm not going to explain it. We're just going to go.
So unusual for Doctor Who.
Yeah, and that helped sell the peril Aramim was in.
Yeah.
That he is so concerned about her that he needs to get up there right away. We can't wait.
And his throwaway comment about watching the bewildered expressions is part of the fun of it, or however he had that worded. It was just like, this is totally a new Who writer that put this one together. Who is this guy? Look, yeah, but it felt very, yes, bigger on the inside, all that.
Yeah,
just gonna roll right on with it. And for the fifth Doctor, that's kind of because that's something that we didn't get in Black Orchid, which could have resolved so much so quickly.
Yeah.
For a 2-part episode, it was like you could have had this wrapped up in 15 minutes if you just said, "Go inside the box," and you didn't do it. So it was fun that we got to that and was like, okay, yeah. But no, it was a lot of fun. It was not what I was expecting going into it, and I think that it played to its strengths for me.
It takes a lot of twists and turns, which helps the story a lot too, because where part one begins and you kind of have that expectation, and then once it kind of starts telling you of yes, that's what this story is going to be, it takes a left turn and does something different.
Yeah.
And then it goes into trippy mode and you think that's what the story is going to be, and then it comes back and kind of zigs and zags all over the place.
Yeah. I do wish we'd have gotten just a little bit more of Aramim's father and how he was able to trap these things and,
Yeah.
you know, kind of come. It felt almost in a way like Tooth and Claw, where we get this, you know, the telescope was designed specifically for this, and this guy knew it, but we don't quite get the full-blown explanation there at the end. It was just kind of this nebulous thing, or even what the great old ones really were. And even the Doctor's kind of dismissive of them at that point. He's just like, I've heard this before. You're invading monsters. You're stuck here. Okay, let's move on.
It's very Fortean is what the story is. I mean, it's just like, it's an anomaly explained away by something other than science, that science hasn't quite explained away. I really kind of enjoyed that.
But I did. It's interesting because the elements that I should be just like, oh, they didn't explain it. Instead, I'm like, yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because I was just having a good time listening to it.
And they focus more. Had they focused on the monster heavier in the story, and we wouldn't got those answered, to be one thing. But because we were so focused on Aramim throughout the story, and the monster is kind of the background, kind of causing things, but you don't have to delve into the monster too much. I think that's why why you can kind of go, whatever.
Yeah.
Because you're so focused on Aramim as a character and her growth.
Quite enjoyable. I like the dual layer of the story. I like how we started out, you know, everybody together in the first one. Aramin dies. Then we've got Aramin's experience, the trippy part. And really had no idea where they were going. I had suspected that whatever was Lord Davy in Lord Davy form was whatever was contacting her. I figured was connected to the anomaly that they were seeing on the mountain. But I thought it was really good, and this was the perfect vehicle to kind of explore Aramin's backstory, and kind of explain about her father, Amenhotep. Is that who her father was? Amenhotep II, and
wasn't that a video game? Yeah. Imhotep?
Imhotep, yeah, I think so. But to go about it that direction, and all of the misguiding and the misdirection that the entity was creating, and even to the point where he was manifesting Perry and the Doctor in such a way that it's just the way that he convinced her to kind of be completely accepting of taking this entity and being the key, unlocking what the entity needed to fully escape. Entities needed to fully escape. I thought that was really cool. And it was clever to kind of then, in that third part, just swing back to where the Doctor and Perry were at this point in the story. And I agree with the whole just get it done, get in the TARDIS and go. You know, and you're right. It really, I didn't even consider this until you said it, Keith, that it really drove home his concern for Aramin. And at that point, you know, that was kind of a little fist punching this guy going, yeah, just do it. Just go, Doctor. Go.
Well, and consequently, when you get this parade of the entity in part 2, talking about how, you're worthless and nobody wants you and nobody likes you and blah, 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 blah. Then they pull the rug out from under you in the third part. When you get this really, it feels genuine moment between the Doctor and Perry where he's like going, I may have made a mistake. And she kind of berates him and he's like, what? No, I thought you and I could talk and I could be honest with you and say maybe this is... And I went, I mean, my jaw hit the floor. I was like, whoa, that's a heavy character moment for the Doctor. And good for you, and shame on you, Perry, and yeah. And then it turned out that was the monster. I was like, oh, man.
So it was a bold move and a not bold move at the same time.
Yeah, totally paid off.
Yeah.
And when he walked in the room, he went, oh, this is awkward. And I went, oh, I fell for it.
I did too, with hook, line, and sinker.
The thing that I really, this trumps everything about this story. The story was great. It was a lot of fun. It was very intense. It was, in fact, when I got to the fourth part, I thought, I didn't feel like I had listened to a four-part story. Really I was like, this just thing clipped along. It was so good, so interesting. But I think the absolute, the thing that rates this the highest, in my opinion, was for one thing and one thing only. Perry delivers the best description of the Doctor. And I don't mean the fifth Doctor. I mean the Doctor. than I have ever heard before when she says, He worries about several things a minute, forgets an equal amount every hour, figures out the solution to the problem even before he knows what the question is, and only realizes things before it's too late when he knows there's enough time to fix them. I got chills just reading it again. I got chills listening to her say it because I thought no writer has more aptly described the Doctor in the history of Doctor Who. Yeah. That was just monumental in my opinion. That will always be my description of the Doctor now. Anytime I ever have to paint a picture of the Doctor, that will be my description.
It's better than that whole fire and ice bit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And that's saying something, because I like that bit a lot.
No, me too. It was amazing. And because, like I say, it doesn't just hit on the Fifth Doctor. It hits on every Doctor.
Should we maybe have given this a little stronger of a done now? I don't know. Now that I'm listening to all of us gush over it, I'm kind of going, I don't know, maybe
I thought Perry was great in this story, too.
Oh, Perry is so
and Nicola
strong
Bryant did such a good job in both the second part where she's being vile and you walk away from that scene going, God, I don't like Perry now. She's horrible. Mm-hmm. And then the flip side of it.
And then being very relieved that it wasn't really Perry.
Yeah. And then in episode 3, or part 3, where you see how much she cares for Aramim. Such a great performance and so well written for Perry.
Well, and that
it gives Perry so much more depth than I think she's ever gotten before.
That and how angry she gets when the fake Doctor comes in.
Yeah.
And he's starting to, express his doubts and you can, every once in a while I expose a chink in my armor. And my first thought when I heard that was, okay, this is different, but so I was falling into it. So I suppose that you can have that, every once in a while. But then as he continued to go on, I kept thinking, there's something wrong here. There's something very wrong. And at about the same time that I think Perry was getting really, really irate, the real Doctor walked in. And I thought, oh, good. There's the Doctor.
I love Perry and Aramim's relationship. I love that they feel very much like sisters, but completely different from the sisterly relationship that Nyssa and Tegan had. Because it's not on the same level at all. And I don't know how to explain it other than just they're becoming these great siblings that and yet aren't. I don't know.
Well, Nyssa and Tegan are almost sisters that are begrudgingly friends, and Perry and Aramim are more like sisters who are genuinely friends.
Maybe that's it.
Like almost more like a twin relationship as opposed to an older and younger.
Yeah.
Even though Perry does play the older role in it, but they just seem so like they've been together for so long and mesh on so many levels that they're just like really well. Maybe it's a sister and stepsister comparison. Tegan and Nyssa are stepsisters where they get along and they're kind of friends, but they don't always like each other.
They brought their own baggage to the family.
Yeah, and Perry and Aramim are more like actual sisters.
Maybe that's what it is, but I just I'm so thrilled every time we get an Aramim.
Oh, I love her character so much.
Yeah.
Did anybody catch the Black Orchid link?
Other than the cricket?
Well, for the listeners, the Doctor drops the name of the explorer, George Cranley.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Who is related to by marriage to Lord Davies. So it's kind of alluded to in there. So that was neat.
And I really like the idea that Perry and Aramim froze the swimming pool to ice skate.
To ice skate. And apparently it's still frozen by the time we get to the next story.
That's something I liked about both of these stories, which it's very much a Fifth Doctor era thing, is that we tend to get a lot more of TARDIS life in the Fifth Doctor's run. That all the rest of it, before and after is kind of like the TARDIS shows up and they walk out, and then the rest of the adventure takes place out here. And then they get back in at the end and we leave. And that's it. But the Fifth Doctor's era, we got more rooms, we got the bedrooms, we got the workshop. We got to see them actually doing stuff in the TARDIS. And sometimes it wasn't relevant to the story. Sometimes it was just them
character building,
doing stuff in the TARDIS, And so both of these had those elements where there was a lot of, busy work or business that was just kind of set up and, we were ice skating, we froze the pool and, and the Doctor's whole thing about the liquid nitrogen, and it's not to be fooled with, and don't play with it, blah, blah, blah.
And then it comes back.
And I was thinking, this is a cute little throwaway
at the
bit.
end, he says the, what did I tell you about the liquid nitrogen canisters? And I thought, oh, that's right. They use those to freeze the pool, and he was getting mad at him. And I thought, where's he going to go with this? And then he made the comment about, don't ever, when I say something like that, don't listen to me. I thought that was such a nice touch there at the end.
Almost a foreshadowing to the Seventh Doctor.
Yeah.
It felt very Seventh.
You're not carrying any of that Nitro 9, are you? Of course not.
Yeah.
Good. Go blow that up. But yeah, the whole business with the nitrogen coming back into play was just like, oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
It wasn't a throwaway.
I mean, we're not talking about Ghostlight, but even at the end when he says, so do you have any regrets that you burned it down? And she goes, yeah, just one. I wish I'd have blown it up. And he goes, wicked.
Yeah. Anything else on the Roof of the World?
I think so.
The supporting cast was just kind of, they were all right.
I don't know. I thought the actors that played both Lord Davies and Pharaoh Amenhotep were both good. Edward
General
D'Souza played Davy. Yeah. We should talk more
Bruce
about him.
was good.
Because that was one of those. I love the relationship that he had with John. Was that the guy?
Matthews.
That he had with Matthews. And there was this, because the general starts us with this arrogance, be sure you get this correct about me and instill more bravery and more courage when you're writing.
And you don't
about
like
it.
him. You just
don't.
No,
You think,
really.
this guy is so standoffish. I would not be able to work for this guy. Matthews just completely puts up with more than I possibly could. And their relationship continues to grow and change and evolve through this. And by the end, when he's really almost, when he's trying to tell him, to wrap those connectors tighter, or if you don't, it won't work. It won't make contact when they're trying to blow the cave up. And then he gives him the privilege of, Matthews first says, I'm not one of your soldiers. He kind of chides him back, pushes back against the general, which he had kind of done a little bit before, but always kind of backed off. This one, he was putting the general back in his place. And when the general says, I think you should do the honors, I thought, oh, wow, that was such a nice character moment there for the general.
Which was also followed up nicely then with the, how much explosives did you use?
Which was another one of those things that, how much did you use? We've created an avalanche. And I thought, oh, man, how much more of this do we have to go? What's going to... And they just materialize out of there and materialize back at base camp. And it was like, okay, we're done.
I almost wondered at this, because I looked at my running links. It was, little bars moving across the thing as I'm listening to this. I was like, there's nothing left of this.
Mine had a trailer on it, so I had about a minute more than I thought I had, and I went, oh no, where are we going with this?
We've got to be getting close. And then I thought, I wonder if they're doing a second Doctor callback. We're going to dematerialize right before the lava gets us, and then that's where we leave
the
it.
Dominators,
yeah,
that's right, yeah. Well, they kind of did go. They kind of did,
fit, yeah. I mean, they still got the. Okay, now let's actually leave.
Yeah,
but
right.
Was it just me or the open with Lord Davy getting taken over? Did he sound like Brian Blessed to you guys?
No,
I could have sworn that's who it was at first.
But I tell you, the actor that played him had a very
D'Souza.
gentlemanly.
And it wasn't in the rest of the movie. It wasn't in the rest of the story. It was just in that open before
Edward
he was taken
D'Souza
over.
played Lord Davies. Yeah.
He almost sounded a little bit masterish.
A little bit.
Jeffrey Beavers,
yeah.
I think, with just how suave he was.
I would agree. Okay, now we can move on to...
Three's a crowd. On an almost lifeless planet in a remote star system, Earth colony Phoenix is struggling to survive. The colonists, utterly dependent on transmat technology and unable to leave the security of their habitat domes, have developed severe agoraphobia, not to mention an inability to deal with visitors. The TARDIS crew arrives on an apparently abandoned space station in orbit above the planet and soon discover that they and the remaining colonists are in grave danger. To survive, the Fifth Doctor, Perry, and Aramim must uncover the colony's darkest secrets before it's too late. Something inhuman is stalking the colony, and it's hungry.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. I give it a little bit of a dun dun dun.
What I really like about this story is the idea of it. of this colony who has agoraphobia because of how long they've lived, or how their life has developed. I haven't never thought of this before as far as sci-fi, and it's a very Doctor Who idea that other science fiction wouldn't want to try to touch because it's almost too comical. But it's played so well and so seriously that while it is humorous, you kind of feel for these people who grew up never encountering other people and only one person in a cell and kind of doing their thing.
Andrew Cartmel would have been all over this one.
Oh yeah, it's such a cool idea that was my biggest takeaway from it. Aside from the great fallout for Aramim from the previous story and dealing with the ramifications of what happened to her in that was kind of the big standout for me in the story.
So, very similar setup. We get a little business in the TARDIS, which I'm like, all right, cool. We get more of the, family. And, there's a whole other room that we found. And, we're dealing with the fallout. And she's got shades. And, okay, cool. I hope it's not permanent because I'd be sad. And then, so we land. Oh, it's a space station. We're not going to Earth after all. And I was like, yay! And then, eggs. We've got eggs on the space station. And, of course, my brain immediately goes, oh no, he's doing an alien thing, and it's get out of the room, hurry up! And that wasn't really part of it, but and then
it sort of was.
Kind of, sort of was. And then we've got
no face huggers.
No face huggers. When that finally came to fruition, and we've got these things on the space station, I was like, ooh, the Wirren. They've come back. They're laying eggs on the space station. They're going to harvest the humans. Yeah, cool. Not the Wirren.
Not at all.
So these two stories were very, very similar for me in setup, execution, pulling the rug out from under me, making me think it's a classic villain that's not, and still being okay with it. It doesn't have to be a returning villain every single time. It's a big galaxy. We should have some new stuff. But I think the one misstep I think this one made, structure-wise, was the one conversation that Auntie has with the butler.
Oh yeah, it's telegraphed that she was sending these people off to their death.
I would have liked for her to have remained a little more innocent until that gut punch comes, that she was in it all the time. Because instead of being shocked and reeling from that, I was like, Doctor, get out of the room. Don't beam back to go talk to her. She's nuts.
She's evil.
Yeah, she's in on it, man. She's probably wearing an Edgar suit, and she's got to pull her face off and be one of these things,
There was a lot of this that felt Seventh Doctor era to me. I don't know why, but I think because Andrew Cartmel would have been all over this, as you said.
Doesn't it just seem like an idea that
Auntie felt very much like Helen A.
Yeah.
From Happiness Patrol. I mean, there's so much that it just
I can see that.
grips Seventh Doctor, but it's a Fifth Doctor story.
The little Happiness Patrol,
so well.
little Paradise Towers.
Yeah.
With the structure of the building, and yeah, it very much. If somebody had pitched this, I think you'd have gone, cool. The downsides on this one, I think, were it just didn't feel. And again, maybe it's because we listened to. I'm glad we listened to these back to back. That it's almost like I planned it, but I didn't know. So I'm glad that these two kind of came paired together because of the carryovers and stuff. But at the same time, because I enjoyed the first one so much, I really wanted to enjoy the second one, and it just wasn't. In my mind, it just wasn't quite as good.
I don't think it's as strong of a story. It's got some good ideas, but there's a lot of underdevelopment. While we develop the people on the pods and those left behind pretty well, the aliens still are kind of thrown in at the last minute and kind of just hulking monsters to go eat. I mean,
yeah, and there's a great line that Airman has saying, I thought it was Sobek.
Oh,
these great crocodile lizard things, which gave me a great amount of pleasure because there is an Eighth Doctor adventure that we haven't got to yet called The Skull of Sobek. Oh. So I knew who this guy was, and I went, oh! No, not them either. I got to tell the guys, they're going to come back. No. That's not them. But yeah, the secondary characters in this one, not quite as, I don't want to say necessarily developed, but certainly
They're forgettable.
They're forgettable.
They're
The acting wasn't
Yeah.
quite as on par with what we had in the first one, I think, or just they weren't as riveting to listen to.
Which is ironic since Auntie is Deborah Watling.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah. I appreciated the fact that, as you said, that it was an interesting dynamic that they were, this was all they knew. They were a little agoraphobic, more than one person in the room, or more than one other person in the room, bothered them, and they were very skittish. But as that went on, I kept thinking, you're in mortal danger. I realize you've never known what mortal danger is, but they just, at some point later on, it would have kicked in maybe. At some point later on, I kept thinking, "Oh, quit being so whiny and just go." Especially Bella. She was like
near the end, specifically.
Come on.
Yeah.
But overall, this was one of those. Unfortunately, on the heels of Roof of the World, this pales in comparison. And in fact, I think that knocked my enjoyment of this one down because I'd listened to them so close together. But I also could recognize that I enjoyed this story, and had I separated them, I probably could have given it a little higher marks. But it's really, for lack of a better word, it's a bottle episode because it all happens right there in the space station. Yeah. And we had this other one, location.
Essentially a base under
siege. But they're popping back and forth using the transmats. I like the idea that the doctor disabled the transmats so that then he could, again, get the TARDIS, go back to convince Auntie, and then they get in the TARDIS and go. So the TARDIS is used again as a device immediately with no doctor going, well, I'm not sure we can do this. It's just like, hey, I've got this. I'm going to use it. We got to get from one place to the other. I've shut down the transmat so that they can't come through. We're going to just do that. I thought the villain was very lackluster because in the base of this story, it's a crashed or disabled space station which purpose was colonizing, and the terraforming's gone wrong, and the space station ends up being a refrigerator for an alien species. I mean, that's really on the base level what it was. But being that simple of a story was okay for this because of what it was, and so I think that's what I enjoyed about it. Is it wasn't a terrible story that had a lot of holes or problems with it. Story. It was a simple story that went from point A to point B and worked all the way through. So.
Yeah. Going back real quick to the agoraphobia aspect, the fact that they didn't really, especially Bella, grow past that made the ending a little harder to swallow.
Yeah, because now they are definitely on their own. And the other thing that I thought for sure that he was going to leave Airman there for sure. Well, I thought she would go, that's a good idea. I'll stay here.
That's one of the things I really liked was Airman being so unsure at the beginning of if being here is the right thing, and her growing and making that decision on her own. That no, I want to go explore more. I want to see more of the universe despite the dangers. It was such a really cool thing for them to explore,
and still having the echoes of fake Doctor in our head from the previous story. That maybe I did make a misstep with this, and he's so concerned about her that when he proposes it, I was like, no. I mean, it makes sense, but no.
What I liked about this is I've always liked Airman. But this makes me appreciate her even more because she can bounce back from those insecurities that were planted in the story prior to this, which were very devastating, could be very effective on somebody and affect them, in a most adverse way. And you get that impression that she has been through something very seriously, that affected her seriously at the beginning of the story, and she's able to work through it in the span of this story, and it made me appreciate her a lot better.
Yeah.
That she was able to bounce back.
Makes her an even stronger character than she already was.
Absolutely. And for her to say, I think I'm ready to keep traveling. Perry's still got to show me a roller coaster. Oh, by the way, you owe me a pedigree.
I also liked in the story how well they juggled the pairings and how pretty much everyone rotated around and got to do something important and throughout the entire story. It's not the Doctor and one character off on their own doing one thing and a third
everybody was given something.
At no point
was just kind of rotating through everybody.
At no point in any of these did I groan inwardly and go, "Oh, this is this part of the story where we've split Companion A off."
Yep.
And
Especially in this one, because it keeps rotating back between. It was a bit more in the first one. Companion A is gone because Airman in her situation, but this one less so because it keeps.
Well, they interchange them too.
It's Airman and the Doctor. It's
and it was important for the narrative of the theme of the crew. Of the TARDIS crew. The three is a crew. And I love the way that he says that at the end, because you so expect him, when he's seemingly is going to trip up and say the cliche, he says 3 is a crew. And I thought, okay, this is perfect, because we have established that at the beginning, because Perry's I think she asked once in the other story, and in this one she reestablishes the question, do you regret having, 2 companions
it's
with you.
Airman that I wanted to talk to you about.
And again, this is the one thing that I came out of this that marked it up, gave it an even higher mark on it, was it made me appreciate, because we've talked about the crowded TARDIS. We've talked about it. Fandom talks about the crowded TARDIS. The Fifth Doctor's there. Too many companions. What this story did is nicely put in perspective that the Fifth Doctor is very comfortable and works best with a crew as opposed to a companion. And I think this hit the nail on the head, and that's what I most appreciated about this particular story, is it really drove home the fact that this is really the Fifth Doctor's element, to have more than one person with him, to have a crew, to share those experiences, to share those responsibilities, and everybody has a job, and in this one, they beautifully all came through.
Yeah, I would agree.
I just realized it's been since December since we had any Airmen.
Wow.
On the show. It didn't seem like it was that long when scheduling happened, but that was the last time we did. And kind of going back, like you said, the unfortunate thing about this is that it came on the heels of Roof of the World. If we had listened to this one after the last set of Airman ones that we had, which was Necromantia or Axis of Insanity, I bet we'd have been like, dun, 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 this is the greatest thing ever, because that one sucked.
I remember I liked Axis.
I liked Axis.
I liked Axis too better than Necromantia.
Necromantia was terrible.
So,
because of what happens in this story and how the TARDIS team really becomes a team, it really makes me worried about Airman's future. To break this team apart is going to have to be something horrific.
If it helps,
no, don't do that.
if it helps, I looked ahead and she's got at least half a dozen more stories.
Oh, good.
But if it hinders, they don't want to hinder
half
anything.
A dozen more stories.
With this many with this many stories, one of the most glaringly obvious things that can't be, you have to be retroactively fixed because obviously they could never have known they were going to be doing audio stories. But as Airman becomes more ingrained as a true companion of the Fifth Doctor, it really, really bothers me in that sequence in Caves of Androzani at the end that she's not in that group of companions that he's recalling as he's perishing. So it makes me think either A, is this just going to be something that's never going to be fulfilled, or B, does something happen that erases Perry and the Fifth Doctor's memory and is more tragic the fact that there's a real reason why the Doctor doesn't recall her in the...
Is Big Finish going to hand wave it away with, or are we going to actually retcon it and say, no, we planned this. It's going to shoehorn right here in the middle of this.
I'm afraid of the latter. Because... And don't get me wrong, we understand why she is not in that group of recalled companions. I mean, it just that those were different done at different times.
Well, it's kind of like...
But I've seen Big Finish retroactively fix a lot of things in the stuff that they've done. They've taken very good care in maintaining a semblance of continuity throughout the
It's just a question of, is that one of the continuity things that...
Yeah.
Will it just forever be a hole, or will it be, well, here's why.
No.
Well, in Night of the Doctor, isn't there some companions the Eighth Doctor doesn't mention that he has in audio? Or am I just thinking of the novels?
Yeah, well, Mary Shelley traveled with him. There was another one that somebody else had mentioned to me that we hadn't.
We haven't gotten to them yet, but I knew there were missing names, so it's kind of like one of those things.
I think there was only 2 that I think I read somewhere when somebody on some
I remember for
message
sure
board
he mentioned Charlie, Lucy, and Tamsin.
And Kuriz.
And
And Tamsin. Yeah, those were the ones. That was it.
You said Molly, right?
I didn't say Molly.
Oh, you didn't say Molly. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said Molly.
Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie,
Cariz.
Lucy
Tansem.
Molly Tansem.
Yeah.
Or Lucy Tansem Molly. Molly's the reason I was thinking Molly, because she's the one that dies, isn't she there?
No, that's Cass.
Oh, that was Cass. Okay, well, I don't know who Molly is.
Oh, it was like Molly. It was those I salute you and Cass. I
That's right. He did add Cass.
Molly is in Dark Eyes.
Okay.
So they ran all the way up to the end.
It's just one of those things for me.
Well, and I think he only traveled with Mary twice. I think there's only 2 stories. Was it 3?
But that's a. I can't wait to get to those and see exactly how clever Big Finish was.
Yeah, because by the time that he meets Charlie, he has already had experiences with.
Well, because
Mary Shelley.
he apparently I don't remember which one it was, but he name drops Mary Shelley.
Yeah,
And then,
very early on.
Very early on.
Yeah.
And then they decided, okay, so they went back and did Mary Shelley adventures, which I'm presuming are actually set
Before
he picks up Charlie.
Yes.
But I don't know. I'm curious to see how that all fits in. But Peter Davidson, I thought, was wonderful as usual.
Mm-hmm. Both of these.
In both of these, and as you mentioned, Nicola Bryant was.
I'll say it for Chrissy's benefit. I really am enjoying the Fifth Doctor now in Big Finish. I've been very sour on a good chunk of his stories, but I think Big Finish. I really think I like him best with Perry and Ehrman. I think some of the Tegan stories we've listened to and Nissa stories have been hit and miss, but so far the Ehrman stories.
I wonder if
with the exception of that one silly whatever it is.
In fairness,
What was it?
Necromantia?
Necromantia.
In fairness, I wonder if it's, are we enjoying Ehrman and Perry more because of the unknown factor of it, and we're not coming into it with the preconceived notion and all the baggage that we have.
That's
from,
a good point, Sean.
From,
I had
from
thought of
Tegan
that.
and Nissa and
That's
the
an
rest
excellent
of them.
point.
I don't know. Even the Turlo story.
Yeah. It was. I don't think I came
okay.
down hard on it, but it wasn't
The werewolf
greatest.
one. It was okay.
Yeah.
Well, there was another
was
Tegan one in
two,
there too. Yeah,
yeah.
or a Turlo one.
Have we got to the other one yet? I
Yeah,
don't remember exactly how many.
we've done 2 so far.
Because we haven't done any Tegan
Group
yet.
Legault was a group.
That was the werewolf.
That was the werewolf one.
Yeah.
That was Turlo. And then we did another one where
It was with
they
the
had Jack the
Highwayman.
Ripper. Yeah, I'm sorry. Not the.
It was,
Oh yeah, the early one that we
was-
did not like.
like really early.
Oh, the guy that was modeled after. The Highwayman. I can't remember. There's actually a famous character
Yeah.
that was
It
modeled.
felt like another part of the Inferno Club. With
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Probably set around the same time.
It was like 3 or 4. Phantasmagoria.
that was
finally
it, yeah.
came to me.
That was-
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, I don't remember liking that one especially well, but it was a fine Turlo story. I mean, it was okay.
Yeah. So I wonder if that's just something maybe because of the
Well, and it's a fresh thing too. Companions we don't know
Yeah.
on television.
Well, and I mean, we do Planet of Fire, and then we do Caves of Androzani, and that's all we get with Perry and the Fifth Doctor. And so we're now getting all of that space in between, which I think has been quite enjoyable because it fills in that gap. The closer that 5 gets with Perry, the more poignant the sacrifice is for Caves of Androzani. If Big Finish hasn't done anything, that has been what it's done the best. I mean, obviously, I pointed out some very good things they've done, but if you can't point to anything, that is the one thing they've done really good in as far as retconning, and that's to make that scene in Caves of Androzani that much more poignant.
Yeah.
There was a bit of a when he mentions, he says, after all the time we've traveled together, and I kind of went, ha! Because we really haven't.
But they have.
I'll allow it. It's canon now. I'll allow it.
But now they have.
I don't know. Because I kind of wonder the same thing with the Sixth Doctor stuff when we
Well,
do,
it was
'cause
with
we
Evelyn,
really enjoy Evelyn, and is it because she's something new and different as opposed to Perry or Mel?
Although there have been quite a few Sixth Doctor and Perry that we listened to that we enjoyed, wasn't there? So
Well, and Seventh Doctor doesn't apply to Mel because I've enjoyed all of the Seventh Doctor Mel stories we've done so far. So
yeah.
I don't know. Of course, we tend not to.
I say all of them. I can only think of one now because I think I was transplanting the Sixth Doctor because the one doctor, not the one doctor. Yeah, the one doctor was
The one Doctor was 6.
6. Yeah.
Bang Bang a Boom was 7.
Yeah.
I think there was another one too.
Yeah, the one where they had Big Bang a Boom or Bang Bang a Boom was the one where they had to fix they had the Eurovision
music contest.
Yeah.
Was there another one then?
I think there was one more.
Oh, the Quarks one. The one where they.
Yeah.
Oh, that was Flip Flop.
Flip Flop. Yeah.
That's the one. I said Quarks, but they were just name dropped, and we wedged them into our.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It was a catalyst for our Quarks.
Reverse back and forth.
Back and forth. Right. That was 7. Yeah. Well, and of course, we come down on the side of Perry and even Mel to an extent.
In the audio, more than the television.
Even on TV, though, that I don't think we've come down too hard on Mel. She's only in, 4 or 5 stories?
I think we're a little more forgiving than most of fandom as far as Mel goes. I think that...
Same thing with Perry. I think we're pretty forgiving with her
I
on
don't know, but
television,
you hear a lot of praise for Perry in things like Caves of Adrazani and Planet of Fire. No, not Planet of Fire. The other one, the other planet.
Yeah, Planet of Fire.
No, the other planet. The one with the Sixth Doctor.
Mysterious Planet.
Mysterious Planet.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, people have praised her. But you very rarely see any praise from Mel, ever. So I think we've been much more generous with Mel than most of fandom has.
And she's kind of So
the book shows
who wrote these?
Really no tidbits that are very interesting.
I'm glad you brought the book, Glenn.
Colin Brake
wrote Three's a Crab.
Yeah.
The guy who wrote the last one, I don't have his name pulled up, would have written or did write Lost in the Dimension, what would have been the 30th anniversary special.
Dark Dimension.
Yeah, Dark Dimension.
Oh, remind me off mic. I have something to ask you guys about that.
Okay.
It's funny that
Adrian
funny
Ringsford.
that came up.
Ringlesford. Ringle? Yeah, Ringlesford.
Hansel?
Hansel?
Hansel.
Hansel? I'm ready for this one.
Regenerates.
I heard lots of good things about that.
Okay.
Which means I'll probably be let down by it. My expectations are too high.
Set them too high.
You should never listen to your expectations.
Yeah, I shouldn't. All right, what do we got coming up on the schedule, Sean?
A change in the programming.
This is becoming the norm.
Yeah, well, I'm old. Thank you, Keith, for pointing out my schedule was wrong. Next week for Friday Night Who, we're doing Curse of Fenric, which is available on Netflix. And did we determine other sources or not?
I don't know on that one.
I don't remember if we looked that one up.
I'm not in charge of other sources.
Okay.
I'm sure they're digitally available to purchase.
Well, yeah. But it is on Net.
I believe they are on iTunes.
On iTunes or Amazon Prime or not
there's
Prime.
No Prime.
Hulu or something. Wasn't there?
Oh, I'm sure it's on Hulu.
Something out there has it somewhere. But it is on Netflix, which I think the majority of our listeners seem to have. So you can join in with us Friday night at midnight. Somebody brought up an interesting question of is it the special edition or is it the standard edition? And I'll be honest, I haven't looked. Normally, when there's an option and it's Keith's first viewing, we always go with you're getting the bare bones TV edition as we saw it back in the day. But if the one that's on Netflix happens to be the special edition, well, that's the one we're going with. So,
is there a special edition?
I didn't know if there was or not.
I don't believe there is. Well, if there is, it's news to me.
I forget who it was. Somebody on Twitter asked me that question, and I thought to myself, oh, that's kind of an interesting thing. I might need to look into that. But anyway, that's our Friday Night Who for this week. And then originally, as scheduled, we were going to review Curse of Fenric, because it's not one that we've seen. And then, where did I have it? Big Finish number 67, Dreamtime, which is incorrect. Keith pointed out that I skipped a hex story when I made the schedule. So it is not going to be Dreamtime. We are actually going to listen and review Big Finish number 58, Harvest. Or The Harvest. Because I skipped over a whole... And I think what really probably caught Keith's eye is that the Cybermen are making an appearance in this one. That's probably what got him excited.
Well, and that's part of... I started Dreamtime and said, who's this guy coming out of the TARDIS? And then saw, I would remember a Cyberman story. I'm not likely to forget that.
I apparently missed the first hex story, so we're changing it. So it will be The Harvest paired up with Curse of Fenric for next week. And The Harvest is a 7th Doctor ace. And Hex. It's his first appearance in Big Finish audio, so there is that.
Quick note, if I can go back, Doctor Who Christopher is presented in 2 versions on the disc, the only disc that ever came out. Well, discs, not only came out. Disc 1 contains the 4 original 25-minute episodes exactly as originally broadcast with stereo sound. That will be the one we watch. That's always the case, and that's the one we will watch.
That's the one that's
there's
on
your
Netflix.
definitive answer right now.
Yeah.
Certainly, I'm sure it is. Because Disc 2 offers the updated 103-minute version, which is going to be Omnibus, and they never put the Omnibus on Netflix. So.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I know for a fact it's not on the Omnibus is not on Netflix because I started to watch this on Netflix and it was episodic. So,
Well, there you go.
It was supervised by composer Mark Ayers and following Nicholas Mallett's original cut. They're edited like a feature-length film and incorporated approximately 10 minutes of extra story material.
Oh, so it's kind of like what they did with Enlightenment.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of glad that I picked that up at the library, so I can look at the other episode and see how they did. Yes, and that we should point that out, and Chrissy points this out, I think, from time to time. Always check your local library. You never know what DVDs that they have as far as Doctor Who.
And some even have Big Finish stories.
Yeah,
that you can pick
so
up.
look at your library, because if you have your library card, checkout's free. So it don't cost you anything. Unless you forget to take it back, and then you have to pay a late charge, which happens to us frequently. Excuse me.
So what you're saying is I don't need to go down to the library. I need to just boot on my Netflix because you rented the copy they had.
Yeah, I have probably the only copy, of course, for Fenric at home. And I just re-upped it because I checked it out a couple of weeks ago, and I went, I better recheck this. So I've got it for another 3 more weeks. So
So there's that. And that schedule has been changed and updated on our website, which, of course, is travelingthevortex.com. And you can also find us on Twitter and Facebook and Patreon. We thank you once again for everybody who has supported us through our Patreon account. And if you would like to and keep this fine program on the air, we would certainly appreciate it. And you can go there and make a donation. You can also purchase items through our spread shirt. You want to say spread shop. It's a spread shirt.
And Sean's pushing me to get those new designs up, so I will get those up.
And there are new designs coming. The red capes are coming. New designs are coming. I'm not sold. And did I miss anything? I don't think I missed anything.
No, you're starting to get scattershot.
I'm kind of scattershot.
All right, well, if that's going to do it for this week, until next week, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Scattershot.
Be seeing you.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.